What's up, guys? This is Mike Loris, and I'm going to be bringing you something a little bit different this time. I was looking around, and especially on our Dota 2, the Dota 2 subreddit, a lot of people are coming from League of Legends, saying like, "Hey, I'm from League of Legends. I have no idea what I'm doing." So I'm going to be casting this game between Fnatic and NEXT.kz. This is from the defense, the group stages, but I'm going to be kind of orienting this cast towards people who either play League of Legends and want to try Dota, or people who, well, either way, it's going to be towards people who play League of Legends, but people who either want to try Dota or are just curious about the game or stuff like that. I'll be trying to put this game into terms that will be a little bit more understandable for people who don't necessarily have experience with the Dota game itself. Let's first do free camera. Alright, so these two teams, Fnatic and NEXT.kz, this is from one of the larger Dota 2 tournaments going on right now. The group stages are over, and I don't believe either of these two teams made it. This might even be for the qualifiers, I have no idea, but okay, so I believe in League of Legends you don't get this many bans, and I believe the pick phase, the choosing is a little bit different, but really it's kind of the same idea as League of Legends. Like, you want to ban out the heroes who are either a threat to your strategy or the other people just have played and are really good at. The bans you see right now, these 6 heroes on the bottom are heroes that are frequently seen here. These heroes are really powerful in the current metagame, and most teams do not want to bother with them. Even the first picks from both these teams, these picks are also extremely strong, which is obviously why they picked them up first. But yeah, so I'm just going to be talking about some of the kind of strange things that League of Legends players might find with this game. The first one being Chen. I'm going to go into it a little bit later, but Chen is a jungling hero. And usually, well, pretty much 100% in League of Legends, jungling heroes, you know, you get the really good ones. You got Trundle, you have Dr. Mundo, Lee Sin, stuff like that. They just pretty much beef their way through the jungle, just hitting things by their own. They tank up the jungle creeps and stuff like that. But Chen, this guy right here, is actually someone who can take control of the jungle creeps and then turn them on each other and use those creeps to tank each other. Something that's inherently different in Dota is that you could select other heroes and move those around. I know that for like a hero like Annie, it's kind of something that you kind of wish that you could do, so you could move Tibbers around extremely easily. I know they kind of did some fixes towards that so that it's a little bit easier, but that is something fairly different in Dota. And Chen jungling, if he pulls the some neutral creeps or whatever, just grabs some for his own, wanders around with them. The neutral creeps in this game, there are no buffs, so you're not going to get a blue buff, you're not going to get a red buff from any of these creeps. But instead, the creeps have their own abilities. They have stomps, just, you know, AoE slows or stuns around them. One could throw a net, which will just hold up the enemy for a little bit. And once you take control of a creep, once Chen does that, he grabs control of all of those creeps' abilities as well. So the idea behind Chen is that his ganks are, he comes out with a couple of powerful neutral creeps. Neutral creeps are pretty powerful in the early game. They kind of tail off later in the game, kind of similar to League of Legends in that way. But he comes out with the big creep, stuns you, and then just right-clicks you down. So the jungling heroes in Dota, not all about the crowd control, the speed at which they could jungle. It's more of what they can offer outside of the jungle. Can we put someone into the jungle so that they could survive? And I know I'm saying this, and if you are a League player, you may not know exactly what I'm talking about, but I will get into that a little bit later. Someone else to note from the NEXT.kz side is this old guy right here. This guy is a kind of special case. One of his spells, his Q spell, summons a bear, and that bear is his permanent companion. Obviously, you could kill the bear, you could pretty much kill anything in this game, but you could kill his bear, and he has full control of the bear as well as his main hero, and his bear has inventory slots. So in theory, he could buy up to 12 items on him and his bear, and that allows him to do some wild things if he gets some farm. But so far for NEXT.kz, it looks like their strategy is going to be to push. Now I realize the idea of strategies, like game plans, is a little bit different in Dota than in League of Legends. I'm a little bit biased, but as I understand it, the League of Legends metagame is all about we'll put an AD support bot, we'll put an AP mid, jungle hero going to be ganking around, and a bruiser up top. And then usually just get farm, pick some fights near Dragon, pick some fights near Baron, and just let the game play out like that. But in Dota, most teams go in with a strategy, like a game plan that they're going to follow, and if they don't follow, then their picks simply won't allow them to win. NEXT.kz, well, and Fnatic actually, have pretty heavy pushing strategies, and what that means is that they're going to rely on summons, a lot of AoE damage, and, well, NEXT.kz even has a spell that damages buildings, but you'll see that later. And then they could use all of their summons to take down the towers, one's right here actually. And by taking down those towers, they get more and more map control, and they get more and more gold for their entire team. In League of Legends, you don't often see that. Most people favor just sitting back and holding their turrets up, and I think a large part of that is because towers in Dota 2 are, I don't want to say weaker, but they don't do as much damage as in League of Legends, so towers aren't a 100% safe haven. It's not uncommon to see people looping around the back and nailing you from behind your tower. Of course you can do that in League of Legends, but the amount of damage that towers do is kind of ridiculous. Something else that I'm going to note is that the Fnatic team has picked up a, I'm going to call him an AD carry. This guy, Faceless Void right here, he is a melee hero. In late game, he could kill everyone pretty much by himself. He needs big items, he needs lots of experience, and once he gets that, his right clicks do a ton of damage. You don't really see that as much from the NEXT.kz side. As I was saying before, this old guy, the Lone Druid, he could do something like that, but he's usually used as more of a pushing hero. But Fnatic is going to have to put a support hero with this Faceless Void. Sometimes you see melee carries in the game of Dota. It's not always about the Caitlyn, Graves, Vayne, ranged AD and support lane, but you just have the melee support, and then maybe this green guy in the middle will be supporting him, which is actually probably what's going to happen. So then you use this hero, this Venomancer guy right here, and then you have him babysit the Faceless Void, which means this Venomancer sacrifices all of his last hits. He sacrifices a lot of his experience in order to make sure that this guy, the Faceless Void, gets everything that he needs, so that late game, Fnatic can just steamroll NEXT.kz. Of course, we're going to see if that actually happens, and I'm just going to go through who's playing what, just so you guys know. Mantis is going to be playing the Leshrac, Lucky is going to be playing the Shadow Shaman. He's heading towards the top lane. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Equal is playing the Lich, Creep on the Earthshaker, and Reeves is going to be playing the Lone Druid, and there's his bear following him. Era is going to be playing the Faceless Void, No Tail on the Chen, the guy who could take creeps. Fly is going to be playing the Venomancer. He is a slowing poison support hero. Henny is going to be playing the Tinker. I'll be talking about him in a little bit. And Trixie is going to be playing the Darkseer. One thing I want to note just right off the bat is the difference in the lanes. This is the corner of the map. There's no brush, and mini-map down here. And this tower is a lot closer to the corner of the map than this tower is. So for the Radiant, which is the team on the left, this lane is a lot safer for them because the tower is a lot farther out, and they could get a lot more control if they just hold the creep wave right here. For the Dire, the team on the right, or the top right, the tower is a little bit more farther back, and that means the creeps always clash in this middle area, and I can't draw on the map for some reason. Oh, I can draw on the map, you just can't see it. Well, it's right there. This area right here is usually where the creeps clash, and if you're this far away from your tower, look at this distance between the tower and where the creeps are going to be. If you're that far away, that means the enemy heroes can come from here, they could come from here, they could come from here, they could even loop all the way around here if they want to, but point is, you're a lot more vulnerable when you're in this bottom lane for the Dire than when you're with the top lane as the Radiant. The bottom lane as the Radiant, I'm sorry. The exact opposite happens here. The Dire's top lane has a tower that's very close to the corner of the map, while the Radiant has a tower that's very far away. The way that this works is that you usually see a whole lot of different strategies coming out. So far it looks like the Dire, which is NEXT.kz, or on the top right here, they're going to be playing two heroes on the bot lane. You do this if you want to kind of protect the one who's more important. In this case, it is going to be the lone druid. The Earthshaker here is a more support hero. And on the top lane, you want to put someone who kind of will do better without as much babysitting. In this case, Mantis, this guy, Leshrac, is probably going to be getting the farm, while Lucky is going to be the babysitter. And in the mid lane, it's actually going to be a Lich versus a Tinker, and Lich, I'll talk about that. In this game, coincidentally, both spellcasters look like they're heading towards the mid lane, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it's not uncommon that you'll see a melee hero in the mid lane, and you may think, well, aren't the melee heroes just going to get stomped in the mid lane? Yes, most of them are. If, for example, this guy, whoa, I don't know why that zoomed in. If this guy went to the mid lane, he would get his ass kicked. But there are a couple of heroes who have certain abilities or their stat growth, which allows them to really hold on to the mid lane and even pressure back people with a large range. Of course, Tinker, this guy right here, this is one of the best heroes in the mid lane because, well, he has a lot of nuking power, and yeah, and he has a lot of lane control through there. In Dota, as opposed to LoL, it's a large part of it is the lane control that you can have. This guy on the top lane, Trixie, going to be playing the Darkseer, is going to be in a little bit of a rough shape because he's up against two heroes. Both of these heroes do have disables, so there's a lot more crowd control. Crowd control is a lot more prevalent in Dota. So, and this guy is a melee hero. So a melee hero who's going to be this far away from his tower. The creeps are going to meet about here. A melee hero who's that far away from his tower is going to be in a lot of trouble. He has some skills that help him farm. This skill right here, Ion Shell, you could read that right there. But it allows him to pretty much deal damage, put a damaging shell around anything. He's going to put it on his friendly creeps. And then it just does damage. Hopefully he can get some CS from that. But really, if he moves up all the way up here, this guy right here is going to come in, disable him. This guy's going to chain off his disable. And then Trixie, the Darkseer, is going to be in a lot of trouble. Something that we are also going to see is the kind of double or pseudo jungle. This is, well, if you look at the, oh, damn it, well, that's kind of inconvenient. I didn't really prepare this that much, but this right here is one of the creep camps. This is another one of the creep camps. This is another one of the creep camps. They haven't spawned yet, just like in League of Legends. There's a little bit of a delay before they actually spawn. They'll spawn in 6 seconds, and every camp is different. Like, every time you kill it and every time it respawns, there's a random number generator or something, and they will each spawn as something different. So there's no like, oh, this is the Wraith camp and this is the Golem camp. See, coincidentally here, Ogres spawned here. Coincidentally up here, it's a Centaur. Down here is also a Centaur. So this camp over here and this one over here typically spawn similar heroes. As you see in the top lane, the melee hero is going to get chain stunned really hard, and there's a third stun actually coming out, and that is going to be the first blood. So something that you would rarely see in LoL, an amazingly aggressive first blood using only level 1 skills will bring Mantis to level 2. You can see on the bottom right there, and that will mean that Trixie, the Darkseer, is going to have to play a lot more carefully. See, even right now you see Lucky and Creep going to be circling around once again for Trixie, and they might be able to kill him again. Those are just right clicks, and there's the disable I was talking about. And this Earthshaker just made a wall, so Trixie is stuck in the corner. He's trying to get out. He might get out. Is he gonna get out? No, 46 HP. So NEXT.kz, only using 2 heroes, able to put out that much damage against 1 hero. Mantis was chilling in the back farming. So this shows, well, I guess NEXT.kz right now is gonna run a tri-lane. And a tri-lane is exactly as it sounds. There are 3 heroes in this lane. There's going to be a Leshrac, who's going to be the farmer of the tri-lane. There's going to be Lucky, and there's going to be Creep. Well, Creep is going somewhere else, but the point of a tri-lane is that with 3 heroes, you get 1 more hero, or 1 or 2 more heroes worth of extra power. That means that you have another stun coming out from this guy, you have another disable coming out with that guy, and even though these 2 people won't get many levels or gold, it's all about just shutting down this guy, because if the other person on the other team is unable to move up because he's scared, then the tri-lane has done his job. The other team is getting absolutely nothing out of this lane, and you completely shut it down, and then you could call that tri-lane a success. Let's see, what else is there to talk? Where is Chen? There we go, Chen. As I said before, Centaur. He actually managed to take a Centaur. I don't know where he got this one from, because some camps respawn, but he managed to pull a Centaur, and he has complete control of this. What he's doing it right now, he's going to be pulling this camp, and that is going to mean that more creeps are going to spawn here. He's going to grab that Centaur, and some trolls spawn. So this camp is not a Centaur camp, it is a Centaur, Troll, Warlord, Wilkin camp. Those are the creeps that could actually spawn there. And that adds a little bit of randomness to the game. I know a large part of LoL is eliminating the randomness because it's quote unfun, but yeah, this means that if you're playing Chen, you might get a really good creep, you might get complete shitty creeps, and that's just part of playing the hero. And this guy is going to be jungling by making this the Centaur tank up while he does the damage, and then hopefully the creeps will die before the Centaur does. And you can see right now, two support heroes from the Fnatic team, going to be No Tail and Fly, are already leaving their lane to gank someone else. Something you rarely see in League of Legends is the support bottom lane leaving their lane to go somewhere else. Admittedly, that's because, you know, Janna, Sona, and Soraka don't really have much ganking potential at all. But in Dota, the supports tend to be a little bit more useful as far as ganking goes, and we might see a gank onto Equal right here. He's got to be a little bit careful. But yeah, the support's already roaming around, the jungler as well, so the jungler and the support going to be forming a roaming party. Going to be looking for a kill on Equal. They know where he is. Here we go. That thing just completely whiffed. He was looking to hit Equal with that, and that would have slowed him down by an extreme amount, and then right clicks would have been enough to do him in. On the bot lane here, you can see that the Lone Druid actually is a ranged hero, plus the bear, should mean that the melee hero on the other lane is not getting anything, because the melee hero is, well, the melee hero is a melee hero, and that means he's not going to have as much lane control. But for some reason, he's actually getting more CS than the other team. So Fnatic era playing a pretty good game so far, even with the bear harassment, and even against a ranged hero. So it's not always a sure thing, but when you have more lane control, you tend to do better. And more lane control means more nukes, more range, or even more support heroes coming in for you. Something else that you could do in Dota, as you can see NEXT.kz is doing right now, is that you could pull creeps. And that means you're grabbing the creeps from this camp, or if you're on the Radiant, this camp, and then you're bringing them into the lane, and then the creeps that spawn in the lane, or minions or whatever, they see the neutrals and then they get pissed and then they all fight each other, and by doing that you effectively deny your creeps. Now what do I mean by deny the creeps? It's a mechanic that I'm sure if you have played LoL you are kind of familiar with, you've heard about it, but I'm just going to be going over it a little bit more just for shits and giggles, I suppose. But denying creeps basically means that you kill them somehow so that the enemy team does not get the gold or experience from them. And a prime example of denying creeps is the Lich right here. I'll keep my eyes on the Lich and show you that in a minute, but when the creeps are low enough, when they're at half health, then you can start attacking your friendly creeps, like the Lich is doing right now. And you see that exclamation mark? That means that is a deny. And that means that, well, blue on the other team, the Tinker, who is up against the Lich, got reduced experience from that creep dying, and since he did not get the last hit, he didn't get the gold. So denying is something that's very important in this game, and really allows you to get a larger advantage in the lane a lot sooner. NEXT.kz going to be taking their first turret, using their pushing. One of Leshrack's skills, this Diabolic Edict, is a pretty much wrecking ball. I guess that's how you could think of it. And they just took down a tower. Tower doesn't have any smoldering remains like in League of Legends, but that means that NEXT.kz got a whole lot of gold for their whole team. You can see the difference of gold earned spiking down, and that means that, well, their team has a lot more gold. Everyone's going to be a lot happier on the NEXT.kz side. Another way, Renegade Breeze is smiley facing, another way you could deny creeps is by doing this. You could pull. This range creep is one of the only ones who got pulled, unfortunately, and he's going to get killed by the centaurs. And that means that the Centaurs, well, the Centaurs don't get any gold, they don't get any experience, and it doesn't even look like they're going to actually kill the range creep, but if the Centaurs did manage to kill that range creep, then that's another creep that Purple, the Darkseer, would just never ever see. Something that the Lich could do, which he's going to do in 1 second. Please do it in 1 second. Well, here we go, he's going to do it. He has a skill, like the old Gangplank if you're an old League of Legends player. You just cap your own creep, and then Lich gains a lot of mana. So by using these skills, you try to keep your creep wave a little bit closer to your tower, because the closer you are to your tower, the safer you are, obviously. Yeah, it's pretty much the same in League of Legends. So basically, the game plan for Fnatic is to make sure this guy gets to the late game. They want a lot of items on him, they want a lot of gold on him, they want a lot of experience on him, and he's already level 8, which is pretty good, I think. Yeah, level 8 is phenomenal, actually, so he's already level 8, he's doing pretty well. The idea of NEXT.kz is that they want to push. They want to gank heroes, they want to build up their lead so much in the early stages of the game so that they can easily push in at the late stage of the game and take the win. Here we go. We have another engagement. Reeves, playing the Lone Druid, is going to get his face clubbed in. The giant purple thing you saw is the Faceless Void's ultimate. It makes a sphere that stops time around it. And there's the Lich ultimate. It is Brand's ultimate for, pretty much. It just bounces around, does a ton of damage. And, yeah, so each team has a different strategy at the moment. Fnatic doing a pretty good job. Their Faceless Void, their carry hero, is doing pretty well for himself. And the thing is, NEXT.kz, Lone Druid can be considered a carry hero, but more often than not, he's not played as such, or not intended to be played as such. But the rest of the teams from NEXT.kz, the rest of the heroes from NEXT.kz, and really the rest of the heroes coming out from Fnatic, are all more of a supporty kind of skirmishing role. And I also realize that could be a little bit confusing for League of Legends players, but I'm gonna try to explain that right now. Let's look at this guy, Lich. His Q is Frost Blast. It just blasts someone with damage. So it's 350 damage. I believe that's how. Let's look at someone easier. Who's easy? Venomancer. Here we go. You get a Venomous Gale, you throw out some poison, which is the long green line that we saw him completely miss before. Does a little bit of slowing, and it does damage over time. And as you can see, there is no plus parentheses for AP. There's nothing to amplify this. That means this spell is always going to do that amount of damage. Well, the gray is because it's only level 1, and he could level it up and make it do more damage, just like in League of Legends. But really, there is no AP, so that your spells will always be doing pretty much the same amount of damage. What Faceless Void did right there is a Q. It's Time Walk. That is basically a built-in flash. There is no summoner skills in Dota, so if you're someone like Venomancer, if you're someone like Chen, you're not going to have that instant get out, or attempted get out of jail free card. Which means that if you do have a mobile hero like the Faceless Void, he's going to flash in again, drop down his ultimate, stopping time in a circle, then they're at a pretty big advantage, because if they get jumped, they could just, flash out of there. And I know that Riot has been, well, not recently, but Flash has received a whole bunch of nerfs. Flash used to be amazing, like completely ridiculously OP amazing. Right now we see Fnatic, and with those 2 Chen creeps, these are 2 neutral creeps that he pulled from the jungle, 2 that I'm selecting right now. They're going to be pushing onto the tier 1 of Fnatic, of NEXT.kz, I'm sorry. They're going to be trying to take this tower down, try to get a little bit more gold for their team. And that yellow thing that you see is fortification. That means the structure isn't vulnerable to attacks for a little bit, just to hold up the push, and looks like that actually did delay the push enough. So Fnatic falling back with all their creeps. No one died, so they're going to be okay with that engagement. Something else, I guess. Well, okay. Here's something else. These trees can all be cut down. And that means the terrain, and actually, probably not the best thing to say in this one, since there's no real heroes who could do that extremely well in this game. But The point is, trees can be manipulated and the terrain can be somewhat manipulated in this game, so that it allows for a lot more dynamic gameplay. But I think that is a pretty good League of Legends introduction at the moment. I'm going to be going to the regular casting thing as we see Trixie getting entangled up by the bear. The bear does have an entangle spell, which has a percentage chance to stun an enemy. And now Tinker coming in, going to be nuking down Reeves, who got a little bit too aggressive. He is one hit away. Another hit. 8 HP. No, Darkseer. How did Darkseer get that kill? Darkseer getting the kill. Oh, Darkseer killed the bear. I see. Okay. So Darkseer getting that kill, he's going to be happy with that, but he's only sitting at 38 creep kills at 13 minutes, which isn't the best, but he was in a really tough lane. Fnatic once again dropping the Faceless Void ultimate, going to be stopping time to do a lot of damage, and that's going to be a frickin' triple kill for the Darkseer. So I just realized something else to talk about. I'll be getting to that in just a second. As we see Fnatic, are they going to push? They have a creep wave. They have a whole bunch of really tanky neutral creeps on their side, and they could probably try to push this. Yeah, there they are. So this tower is going to be going down. Let's see if NEXT.kz is going to try for a deny. As I said before, you can deny your own creeps by hitting them when they're at low health, and you could also deny your own towers when they're below 10% health. So in this case, when this tower hits 130 health, then a NEXT.kz hero can try to attack their own tower. And then if they get the kill on the tower, well, that means Fnatic doesn't get it, and the global gold that you get from killing that tower is severely reduced. So it's something that will pretty much ensure that the other team will get angry at, because they wanted the complete gold from killing that tower, and by doing a good play, timing your last hits, you'll be able to deny them a lot of that gold. So what we saw from coming out from Darkseer was that he used an item that takes a little bit of getting used to if you're coming from LoL. It's this item right here, Town Portal Scroll, or just a TP as everyone calls it. You know, you buy them at the shop full of a whole bunch of different items, stuff like that, but that is for another time, I suppose. And then you can teleport to any structure you want. This is a Radiant structure, so this is the structure that Purple Trixie teleported to, and that allowed him to get a triple kill. He could have also teleported here, and we see Hani teleporting back using Boots of Travel, which are basically boots that have a teleport scroll built into them. But the teleport scroll is basically the summoner spell teleport, except you can buy it for 135 gold, and people always do buy it for 135 gold because it allows you to bounce all across the map. It allows you to teleport to the bot lane and get a triple kill, and that makes the item extremely, extremely worth it. See, in LoL, that won't exactly happen. You see teleport occasionally on the top lane bruiser, but usually teams have to set up substantially if they want to do something. That is not to say that there is no setup required in Dota. It's just to say that there's a lot of reflexive movement that could happen as opposed to just, I guess, set up movement. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but that's what I'm going to go with. And no tail. All of these creeps right here, you get some Skeleton Warriors, you have a Centaur, you have 2 Dark Troll Warlords, are going to go in to kill Equal. There's that net I talked about, and the Venomous Gale, and Equal is just getting its face smashed in. He has a lot of healing in his items right now, and they're forced to drop the ultimate, Fnatic is, but they're going to be able to take him out. And all these creeps right here are creeps that are under No Tail's control, so he's controlling every single one of these. And that's something that makes Chen one of the most difficult heroes to play, because you're controlling 3 things. I don't think I have to explain why that's hard, but Fnatic is going to be taking that tower, and Faceless Void has some pretty good items. He's going to be building towards an item that lets him cleave damage, kind of like a Tiamat, except not useless. No, I'm just kidding, I love Tiamat. I only got it like once, but it was amazing. I love Tiamat. What did I get it? I think I got it on like Jax or something. But yeah. Tiamat in this game tends to be a lot more useful. And these wards, these snakes right here, these were dropped down as the ultimate by Lucky. It's his ultimate, and he used them to take out the tower. So, staying with the kind of heavy push motif that both teams have going, they're going to be using their skills to take down the towers and try to get a little bit more gold. However, NEXT.kz at 7 kills to 2 is at a severe gold disadvantage. and experience disadvantage as well. So Fnatic is playing this game fairly well, and Faceless Void is almost 11, which means that he's going to have a level 2 ultimate. Plus he's going to have his Battle Fury, which is the Tiamat, which is going to allow him to farm the jungle extremely quickly. And you see, even though Faceless Void wasn't necessarily the quote-unquote jungle hero, he has enough items so that he could go into the jungle, get some gold, and just have another source of revenue that way. I was going to say something else about something, but I don't quite remember.
Double damage.
I guess I should talk about some of the heroes that we see on the team. Dark's here. Gonna be Trixie, who had that triple kill before, so he's sitting at 3-1-0. He kind of needed that, actually. Mostly a utility hero. You got that Ion Shell, which you could do damage with. You have a Vacuum, which sucks everyone in towards the middle of the vacuum instantly, or pretty much instantly. So he's used a fair amount for his utility, and then his Surge makes him move at maximum movement speed. His ultimate drops down a wall, which summons illusions. We haven't seen that quite yet, but I will talk about that when that comes. You have Fly, the Venomancer, who's been putting these things all around the map. These things are extremely cheap. They do a little bit of damage, and which could help for pushing. But really, what he's been using them for is vision. You put a ward right here, and then you see a fair amount with this. And with 20 mana and a cooldown of only 5 seconds, he could put them down wherever he wants. And Era is going to have to be careful because the next NEXT.kz is coming around. There's the first disable coming out, and the second disable, and a Fissure, the giant wall. And Era is going to get taken down. Earthshaker actually missed his ultimate. If you saw the circles coming out from Earthshaker, that was his ultimate. And he completely whiffed it because the other guy was already dead. Take a drink of water one sec. Chen, you already know one of his skills that allows him to take control of the creeps, and with those creeps, he's adding a lot of bulk to this creep wave. And he has an ultimate that is Soraka's ultimate. Well, I think, yeah, it's pretty much 1-for-1 Soraka's ultimate. And then a nuke that does a lot of damage. As we see, Trixie gonna take a lot of damage. There was the vacuum, and there's the wall of replicas. He made a replica for the Lich as he walked through. Put an Ion Shell on it for some reason, but that illusion's not going to be doing much. So, wall of replica, pretty big team fight ability, and also pretty nice eye candy. You got the wave thing going on there. It could do a lot of damage because the illusions get stronger as the enemy heroes get stronger. Someone who is kind of interesting is the Tinker. He's the one who's summoning all those little gray beetle things. And he is, well, let me just put it this way. His ultimate resets all of his cooldowns, all of them, his skills and his items. And that allows him to keep on refreshing these boots of travel and teleport all over the map. And March of the Machines is the little gray things that were summoned. They just walk across the screen doing damage. Missiles, long-range nuke, laser, short-range nuke with a blind, so I guess you could call that blinding dart from Teemo. And then Faceless Void, he has the Time Walk, which is the flash. He has the Chronosphere, which is the giant AoE time lock, so just big team fighting skill for him. And then 2 passes, one is a bash and one is a chance for him to dodge attacks. So hopefully you're getting some sense of how Dota plays out and how it is a little bit different from League of Legends. Well, you can see right now on the minimap, there's a lot of movement going around. Something that you will see at League of Legends is just a lot of stagnant play. I don't feel quite right using those words, but usually the farming period tends to be a lot longer. You want your Vayne to get a pretty big item, Ashe to get that Infinity Edge, stuff like that. But NEXT.kz, seeing that they have some space, going to be dropping down these Serpent Wards, not for the tower, but actually for Roshan. Roshan is the objective of the map. There is no dragon. Roshan is the Baron, which I guess you could call him the Baron. And this shows how useful having summons and, well, I guess you could call these summons, but how useful having summons and kind of bulky things can be for your team, as the Spirit Bear tanked up the entirety of that. Once again, that is controlled by the Lone Druid, so he's controlling 2 heroes. And they took down Roshan, who's going to respawn in every 10 minutes. That gave the entire NEXT.kz side a pretty hefty boost of gold. But more importantly, Roshan dropped the Aegis of the Immortal. So there's no Baron buff, which I actually like the idea of Baron buff. That seems pretty cool. But instead they get the Aegis of the Immortal. And that means when Lone Druid dies, he's going to wait 5 seconds where he died, and then respawn at full health wherever he died. So it's pretty much a Guardian Angel, except, well, I guess a full health Guardian Angel. And that, between that and the giant gold boost, it makes Roshan one of the most important things for a team to either kill or at least keep tabs of in a game. Because having that extra life instantly is a pretty big deal. I guess I should go over the death system, as we might see Trixie getting ganked up. Lucky is looking for a stun, even through the pipe. Trixie's taking a lot of damage. Trixie is getting nuked down. He's going to dodge that stun thrown out by the Leshrac, but he's going to die anyway. So, Darkseer, he died. 45-second respawn timer, so pretty similar to League of Legends. But more importantly is that he lost gold. When you die in Dota, you do lose some gold, which punishes deaths a lot more than in League of Legends, where if you die, it's mostly just time to look at the items and figure out what you're going to get. But in Dota, well, you're dead, and you might have lost enough money to, you know, prevent you from buying that big item that you've always dreamed of. Yeah, because, you know, we dream of, in Dota 2 we dream of items. We dream of having items. That's what we dream of, and it's a good life. But unfortunately, that means that if you're playing a support hero, let's actually look at the scores. Who's doing really shittily? Well, no one's really feeding, so. But every time you die, since you lose gold, that means the support heroes who haven't gotten the last hits in the early stages of the game, that's going to be Creep, that's going to be Lucky. They're actually doing quite okay for themselves because of kills and assists. But they're going to have not as much gold going into the late game. You can see the Earthshaker, these are all his items. This is worth 200, this is worth 1,500, and this is worth 53, so not much gold going on there. Compare that to someone, the Lich, who had that mid lane solo, so he got all of the gold from that lane, all the experience, the whole shebang. He has 1,400, like 600, a whole lot, like 2,000 at least. So we see another team fight going out. Chainfrost going out onto Trixie, but there's a lot of creeps to tank it up. Reeves is going to turn around and try to hit Trixie, but Trixie is ward trapped, and he drops down the wall right before he goes down. There goes the Aegis of the Immortal, so the Lone Druid is going to come back right after that. Equal and Mantis taking rockets from that Tinker, long range nuke. The Spirit Bear is going to go down, going to get right clicked down from the Fnatic side. Darkseer, poor Darkseer, he's the only one who got killed again. NEXT.kz actually didn't want to jump in. Earthshaker still has his ultimate, giant AoE damage, does more damage the more creeps there are. So NEXT.kz just managing to pick off the Darkseer, and I think they're going to be happy with that. But Tinker teleported back to the bot lane using his third skill, March of the Machines, just to farm up. And yeah, so Earthshaker, kind of hurting for money. He's going to be getting a very important item for Earthshaker players. I'm going to be talking about that when he gets it. But Lich is currently sitting at a whole lot more money than the Earthshaker. I think I could actually bring up how much. Oh, here we go. Here we got graphs up in here. Lich sitting at 283 gold per minute, whereas Earthshaker only sitting at 152. So Lich getting a lot more because he's died a little bit less than the Earthshaker. Is going to mean that he is going to be getting more gold and losing less of it. Leshrac getting ganked up by a whole mess of Fnatic heroes. Fnatic with their Chen summons, and with, you know, all 5 of them, they're just gonna bowl down this tower. It's sitting at only 365 HP, so this tower is not long for life. Down here you can see the glyph for NEXT.kz is ready, so they can use that to delay them a little bit if they choose to do so, which they probably will not. Oh, something else I could talk about. Shadow Shaman picked up a haste rune. Runes are, I guess you could call them buffs, like red, blue, but they spawn either over here or on the top side of the river, right here. And they give you certain bonuses when you pick them up. The one that Shadow Shaman managed to draw is the haste rune, which means he's going to be moving at max movement speed. So he's moving along. He's got roller skates on. There's a couple other runes. Invisibility, which, well, take a guess. Regeneration rune, which basically restores you up to full health if you don't take any damage. So it will dispel upon entering combat, and if you get hit. There is a illusion rune, which creates 2 illusions of yourself, which you can control. And there is a double damage rune, which makes every one of your right clicks do 2 times as much damage. We now see NEXT.kz using a Smoke of Deceit, which puts them all invisible, so they could walk past wards and they won't be seen. But if they get near heroes, then they will break their invisibility. So this is an initiation item. They're going to be looking for someone on the Fnatic team to go and kill. And little do they know that the entirety of Fnatic is here. Fly putting down those wards, but the wards will not be able to see the NEXT.kz heroes because they're all smoked up, which is the name of the item, Smoke of Deceit. And looks like NEXT.kz looking for a fight. Era's going to dispel the smoke. There goes the Fisher stunning off Era. Another disable going off on Era. Era's getting completely chain locked. He's going to take a lot of damage, but he's actually going to get sent back to the base by Chen. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Chain Frost bouncing around, doing a lot of damage, but the creeps from Chen, just having those around is going to mean that lots of the bounces from the Lich ultimate are going to hit the creeps, thereby mitigating a lot of the damage. Baseless Void has brought up a Black King bar, which will make you magic immune. That means most spells will not be able to go through your magic immunity, as you see Trixie getting wailed on by Angry Bear. Creep is also going to be taken down just by right clicks. And Era going to be going for Reeves. Reeves might get away. Missiles and ultimate. And Venomancer actually somehow getting that kill. I don't know how he got that, but... So, this is going to make him magic immune, which means he cannot be stunned. He cannot be targeted by any of the hurtful magic spells on the other team, and that will give him a couple seconds just to wail on the enemy team, kind of like Morgana's Black Shield, except you can't even be targeted by a whole lot of stuff. The duration does decrease from 10 to 5 every time you use it, as you see Era picking up another one of the buffs off the ground, going to be the Illusion Rune, so these guys take a little bit more damage, do a little bit less damage, but they look exactly the same to the other team. Even though these things look blue to you and this guy's purple, to the other team, both of these guys are purple, and they all look the same. So it could be used for a little bit of deceit action. Earthshaker has picked up the Blink Dagger. This is an item that gives you a 1,200 range flash, and if you're curious about that range, it's about from here to it's about there. I'm not like completely accurate, but the blink distance is fairly long, and that allows him to blink in, and his ultimate and his wall, he just has a whole bunch of AoE magic damage. So he wants to get in close. He wants to basically, let's say this guy's a Mumu. This Blink Dagger is his Bandage Toss, and this is Curse of the Sad Mummy. So that's what Earthshaker wants to do. And by doing that, it'll put a lot of damage onto the Fnatic team. And Earthshaker with that giant team fight ultimate called Echo Slam is a very, very deadly combination of Blink and Echo Slam. Also in that last fight, you had no, that wasn't Dark. You had Chen using one of his skills to send Era, the Faceless Void, back. Era was taking a lot of damage, and he probably would have died, but he got pulled out by the Chen. After a short delay, he got instantly sent back to the base, so that's it, ended up saving his life. So I think that is enough of explaining it in LoL terms as far as right now is concerned. If something else occurs, I will be explaining that so that everything will be as clear as possible. I'm going to be dropping down a lot of spell names and really just casting at full speed from here on out. I think another smoke going off onto the Fnatic team, and yes, the reason I'm doing that is because that is pretty much how Dota is casted as a spectator event, spectator sport. I don't know, as a spectator, I guess. So if you're interested in Dota at all, this is gonna be how it's presented, and you're gonna have to try to get used to it if you want to really watch that Era. Now popping his ultimate and the BKB actually gonna be wailing on Equal. Equal is so screwed. Darkseer actually taking that with the Ion Chill, buying back into the game. You can spend money to instantly revive, but with that pickup, Fnatic looks like they're going to fall back. They don't necessarily. Actually, they do have to. Faceless Void does not have his ultimate up. Creep looking for an initiation. He's getting hit by a Tinker Missile, and that is going to cancel off his Blink Dagger for a little bit. So if you get hit by an enemy, then the Blink Dagger goes on cooldown for like 3 seconds. But lucky, wrong time, wrong place, gonna get initiated upon by the Fnatic team, taking out the Shadow Shaman. Fnatic just systematically dismantling NEXT.kz, just picking off one hero there, and then before you know it, Faceless Void is 3-1-6, sitting at a whole mess of gold. How much money does he have? What is it? 424 gold per minute. Henny actually has the most. Where is Tinker anyway? Yeah, he's pretty filthy rich. He has a lot of money. So NEXT.kz currently in a pretty crushing, disadvantage. There you go. 7,500 gold in favor of the Radiant. 12,000 gold experience in favor of the Radiant as well. So NEXT.kz has to make something happen. Nasty Trixie just going to throw out a vacuum, doing a little bit of damage, going to mess with the other team, thinking that the initiation is coming. Roshan is back up, and Chen with those 3 creeps is going to allow them, Fnatic, to take this Roshan pretty easily. I think NEXT.kz is aware of this, however. Lich is circling around. Lich does have his Chain Frost, so it could be pretty dangerous. But with those 3 creeps, Chain Frost is going to get mitigated pretty hard as Fly is going to be scouting out equal. No Frost Blast. Gets canceled up, but Creep blinks in. There goes the Fisher, and another ultimate coming out from Faceless Void. He's going on to equal. Vacuum back into the ultimate, actually. Mantis is going to get taken down extremely quickly, or he's actually kind of delaying a little bit, but Serpent Wars get dropped down, and Chain Frost as well. No Tail is going to run away and drag that away. Equal. There goes the huge Echo Slam from Creep, doing a ton of damage. Trixie going to get taken down. Faceless Void taking down Shadow Shaman in the meantime. Lone Druid taking out Hani in the meantime, as well as Creep doing his duty, blinking in with that Echo Slam, doing a ton of damage. Chen actually managing to take down the Earthshaker as Reeves, the only one from NEXT.kz still alive. Fnatic era on the chase. Will Reeves escape? And Q Benny Hill. Yes, he is going to escape. He just walked away. So, a very good fight for Fnatic. I believe Hani died, and that's it. Hani and Trixie both died, but they managed to get back into the fight with buybacks, so they paid out for their life, which is something that League of Legends seriously needs. If you're maxed out on gold, you pot up, elixir up and stuff, but really if you could just buy back for life, how awesome would that be? This is going to mean that Fnatic is going to get the H to the Immortal, going to be putting that on their hardest carry, and Faceless Void going to be able to do a ton of damage with those right clicks, and it's really tearing down NEXT.kz. They could probably go for a tower now. Chronosphere is almost up in 20 seconds. Mantis is in a little bit of danger. He is spotted out by the Chen Illusion. He's going to land a stun on Era. Lightning going off as well, just simple magic damage. Mantis actually gets vacuumed back as Era. Why are you not jumping in, Era? I want to see that shit. Giant blue circle is going on everyone. That is the item mechanism. Does an AoE heal, so it's a very useful item to have, especially in the early stages of the game. And if you didn't know what happened in that last fight, then you're not alone, because Dota fights are extremely hard to keep track of. There's a lot of stuff flying, and the fights tend to become from small clustered fights happening around this area to one fight over here, a couple heroes fighting over here, someone retreating here, and someone also giving chase. So a lot of action to happen in these fights, and they're usually tend to be a little bit more drawn out. You're not going to see an instant team wipe. But Trixie, with that Iron Shell, now has a Pipe, which is going to block a lot of magical damage from NEXT.kz. Pretty huge item against that Earthshaker and Lich. Make sure their spells don't do much damage at all. He's going to be building towards a Heart. Usually you would see him getting a Sheep Stick, but maybe just holding that Vita Booster for the meantime. Might be going for a Vanguard, late Vanguard. Probably not the best thing to do, however. Missiles going off onto Lucky and Vacuum. Trixie going for it, not being able to catch Lucky. And this tower is not long for life at all. These creeps have to get off their asses and do some right clicks, but actually pulling them off so that Faceless Void can get the last hit on the tower. Going to give him a little more gold, and Fnatic with that tower is going to slide up to the top lane. Mantis has got to be careful. Trixie, does he know that Mantis is right there? Is there going to be a vacuum to cancel it? No, vacuum not quite in time. As the Leshrac Mantis using his scroll of teleportation to teleport himself safely back to the fountain. There is no teleport recall, so you got to use those teleport scrolls. You got to do it. It'll save your life. Fnatic now sitting at the top lane. No Tail with 3 creeps, going to be delaying the creep wave a little bit. And Era with a Mantis style, which you could use as an activated ability to make illusions of yourself. Helps a lot with your damage and also gives some pretty good stats, pretty balanced stats as well. We might see a big old rumble on the top lane. Fnatic is probably going to want to take this fight. They know that Faceless Void is extremely strong, and quite frankly, NEXT.kz is not going to be able to withstand this push. Fnatic going to be clearing off the creep wave, And with 2 ion shells and the creeps, they're going to be able to demolish any future creep waves as well. And Era just, this tower is going to get freaking demolished. Fisher going off from the Earthshaker, just trying to slow him down, but unfortunately it did not hit anything. And that is going to be a top tower in favor of the Radiant. The Radiant now taking all of the tier 2 towers. So the only thing left for them is the tier 3 is going to breach that high ground. And Lich, you got to be careful. Equal is on the run, getting chased down by Era. Will he make it out? Lich is pretty fast right now. But in 5 seconds he might get caught by a time walk. Trixie going for the vacuum, missing completely. That was a blind vacuum. So he did not have vision of the creep of the Lich. He's just going for it. I don't know what Trixie's doing right now. What are you doing? He actually did get that late Vanguard. Give him a little bit more bulk. I don't know what Trixie was doing back here though, but Fnatic looking like they're just gonna move back a little bit. Get rid of the creeps in the bottom lane, allow that to get a little bit of momentum before transitioning into another lane to push. And really, if Faceless Void gets bigger, which he will continue to get bigger, his items aren't really the biggest right now. He is pretty stacked. That is, you know, he's stacked out of his mind, but no big butterfly coming out from him quite yet. Butterfly, one of the best. It's basically the infinity edge of agility heroes. I realize I did not explain the attributes, but I'm not going to do that right now. Strength gives you health, agility, attack speed, intelligence, mana, and stuff like that. And each hero has their primary attribute, and for every point of their primary attribute, they also gain 1 point of damage. There you go. Explained the whole thing. So Fnatic just taking their time. They know that Faceless Void is going to be unstoppable in 5-10 minutes. So there's no rush. NEXT.kz is on the back foot pretty hard right now. They kind of want to have a giant team fight and get the jump on Fnatic, because if they do that, they could take someone out, take someone important out, and then be fine for the rest of that fight, or be relatively fine for the rest of that fight. But Fnatic putting pressure on all the lanes. The Spirit Bearer does have Radiance up. He got that at around the 20-minute mark, I believe. I wasn't really looking. I was too busy explaining stuff. Radiance is going to pretty much be a Sunfire Kate, which he has on that bear. He's going to be burning down that creep wave with the power of light. So he's going to be using that bear long way from home. Going to be just burning down a creep wave. Going to be gaining momentum to the bot lane. Trixie is kind of playing bait a little bit. But there is the Eagle Song for the Faceless Void. Going to be building up to that butterfly. And once he gets that, I don't know. NEXT.kz is going to be in a lot of trouble. Hanny on the top lane pushing that out as well. 3 creeps from No Tail. Fnatic might want to go in. Tinker is going to be teleporting that. Lightning trying to clear off the creep wave just a little bit, but the creep wave from the Dire got evaporated just a little bit quicker. Era's looking for an opportunity to jump in and land that Chronosphere. The pipe is up, missiles are flying, and this tower is now under siege. There goes a couple splitters, Hex on the Faceless Void, and Hand of God from the Chen being popped pretty early. There is no Aghanim Scepter, so he's not going to have... What the hell? How did Lone Druid go down? What? That was crazy. I completely missed that, but he got sniped down by the Tinker missiles. Era is trying to get to the tower. Fisher is going to wall him off, so he's not going to be able to attack that for a little bit, but that Fisher is not going to last long. Ward's also dropped off from NEXT.kz, doing a little bit damage to the creep wave, just trying to hold off this push. But NEXT.kz still have all their big stuff. Actually, no, they lost their Wall of Illusions, which was used to keep the enemies back. But I think they're going to be okay with continuing to push in, because the enemy who has the biggest threat, the Lone Druid, the biggest right-click threat at least, the enemy carry, is currently out of commission, and he does not have enough gold to buy out, so he's going to be forced to sit and wait 20 seconds for him to revive, as we see Era going to go strong on Lucky, just a couple hits. One more. There you go. Faceless Void going to get a kill on the Shadow Shaman, who instantly buys back. Might be a little too late, though, as his tower is already going down, and the Raxes are now in danger. Era just going to go to town on those Raxes. Lightning coming off, trying to draw the creep aggro. But probably going to wait for the Black King bar to be back on cooldown. They have the Hand of God in 40 seconds, wall in 20. They can go for these Raxes. Lucky getting jumped upon once again by Era, landing a first hit bash. Poor Shadow Shaman. His buyback is now on cooldown for another 5 minutes. Mantis getting Chronosphered up also, and Mantis with those Manta Illusions from the Faceless Void taking a lot of damage. Darkseer is actually going to nail that kill with the Ion Shell. Creep managed to land his Echo Slam, but it was not enough. Darkseer going to be taking another kill as Faceless Void. Going to be taking down Equal as well, as Penny just sitting in the middle of everything with the Marching Machines, laser, and missiles. Going to keep on refreshing his stuff, and then Mantis is going to be the last one to fall for NEXT.kz. Unfortunately for NEXT.kz, well, fortunately for Creep, he's on the run. He's going to get screwed over. Tinker with that laser going to be getting that last hit. And the GG calls coming out from NEXT.kz. This is going to mean that Fnatic is going to win the game because, well, all of NEXT.kz has disconnected. They have surrendered. And these Raxes, you saw one right here and one right here. This one was the melee Rax. I can actually show you down here. Melee barracks and ranged barracks. When you kill this, then your melee. If you kill the melee Rax, then all of your creeps that are melee that spawn on the bot lane, because it's the bot lane of Raxes, will be stronger. And if you kill this one, then all your ranged creeps will be stronger. It is kind of like an inhibitor, except inhibitors respawn. And in Dota, if you take a Rax, that is really huge because it is permanent. And all of your creeps will give less money. So these creeps are now mega melee creeps. Oh, well, there you go. So NEXT.kz gonna drop a game towards Fnatic, but it ultimately doesn't matter because this game happened quite a long time ago. I would really like to know what you guys thought of this. It was kind of weird just speaking, not really casting about this game, but I'm gonna be posting it to some League of Legends, some Dota areas, so I would love to have some feedback as what you guys thought, what needs to be covered. If you want me to do another one of these, I can understand. If you don't, I can understand if this doesn't help you at all, but I just figured I would give it a shot, try to broaden the viewership of Dota 2. So thanks for watching, guys. It's been Mike Loris casting an old game from the defense with a League of Legends twist. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. GG.